All right, so this is a walkthrough of a weekend service, and I'm just going to walk you through a manually run service. And so right here, we're sitting down in Countdown. We're going through our pre-service checklist, so making sure our haze is at the right level that we're setting in. Well, at this point, Countdown's already rolling, so making sure we're in the countdown part of the service. If there's baptism, we're making sure the baptism lights are turned off, and making sure timecode's green and ready to go for when we start top of service. This is a special service that we have coming up. Some manual elements in here that we don't normally do. And so I figured it would be a fun time to show you and walk you through what one of our services that are a little less than typical look like. And so here we go. 15-second service start. And what we've got up here on the screen is the Multiview with program. And in a couple of minutes, you'll actually see a camera from the vantage point of looking at the lighting console and how I'm operating it. So here we go, top service. And at this point, everything is running at timecode. So at this point, no different than a normal weekend service, making sure timecode's running and making sure lyrics are running properly. The other thing I'm doing during a service is making sure front light is kind of what we're looking for, especially while keeping an eye on the f-stop of that camera one. So kind of the unique things we're doing on some of these. The first song, if I remember right, is 100% time code beginning to end. So I'm not actually making any adjustments. I might be taking some notes on some things that I want to change for our next run through. But the rest of the service will have some things where we manually run lyrics or stop lyrics or timings for special instrumentals that we then come back later and re-trigger. So that's really the thing we want to look for here. Okay, here we go. So we're going to get the booth camera set up here in just a second. Okay, great. Now we've got a lockdown shot showing the lighting booth area and how we've got the setup here going. And like I said, this first song is pretty straightforward, straight to time code, largely also because we have the lyric wall going with baked in lyrics, so we kind of have to follow time code on this one. And right there, if you look at the video, I'm just tapping to the click track. I'm not exactly tapping anything at this point. And for those of you looking, we'll walk through these kind of monitors while we're sitting here waiting at things out. So the far left monitor is the ETC channel view. It's only showing active channels, that's why you see it move around a little bit. And the second monitor up high, that's the Multiview with program. The second monitor that's straight in front of the fader wing there is my magic sheet. In this case, it looks like I'm set up to show the conventional fixtures. The one to the right of that is our cue list, and then to the far right, that's our what we call monitor wall that displays all sorts of stuff. Has planning center integration. The green bar you see is the timing that's set up for lyrics, because the lyrics are even timed out. The bars above that are video playout. You'll see those later on. And then at the very bottom, 3 lines there are the lyric lines that will be coming up on the lyric bar. Okay, and then out of this, I'm going to take the cue as soon as the song has landed and Jake's in position for his welcome. I take that cue, brings us into the welcome. It also triggers the lyrics, or triggers our computer graphics, so that the key and title comes up on his name.
Or if you're joining us online, special shout out there. Yeah, we're doing things just a little different. We invite our friends too. This is Parker over here on lap steel. Yeah, and Eric Olson back on the organ. And some of the greatest guys I know and amazing musicians, just staples in the music scene in the building.
And then we've got one manual cue here, which we take as soon as he's done talking to bring the front light out. It is also triggered by timecode, but if I can click this to take front light out better is what we want. Take it. Well, you probably can't see it on the screen too well. I've got 2 faders up on the fader wing, and they're the 2 different haze machines that we're running. The first is the Radiance, Ultratech Radiance, and the second one is a MDG Atmosphere. And we're trying some stuff. We're actually running them both simultaneously. And as you can see from the video, it doesn't look that crazy hazy on there. These are limited, so that means even at 100%, they're not outputting at 100%. But kind of the maximum we'd ever want to output at any point. Really want to always have seamless haze. If you take a look, we want the glow of haze, especially on the lights, but we don't want any of the plume that you often get with haze machines where you see billows of smoke. See me there adjusting the haze just a little bit. And what we're coming up to is some notes that it's going to be an extended instrumental. Kind of hard to show you on here, but on that, the third lighting monitor, or the second from the far right, is our cue stack. And the second column there is the timecode actually running. So you can see timecode there, and then it dropped off for a little bit. And you can see there, I just did a little bit of adjustment. I'm pretty sure that adjustment was on the backlight. Just bringing that backlight down just a little bit because it was a little too hot there, I think. But anyways, as you can see, timecode's going to run out here pretty soon. So what's going to happen is when we hit that, that's just going to be this extended free flow kind of instrumental that's going to be done for a highlight. On the far right column there, it's going to show you the OSC commands that we send to lyrics to basically stop sending lyrics. And we're coming up on that really quickly. And here we go, breakdown. And so as soon as that breakdown happens, we are stopping lyrics altogether. And we've stopped timecode altogether. And so now at this point, what we've got is I'm going to sit here and wait. Basically, I'm waiting for Jake, who's our worship leader. He's going to come to the mic in his talkback section, which unfortunately we don't have recorded. He's going to count in coming back into the song. And the length that this took was variable each time. The way we've done this arrangement for this song, all 3 songs were kind of done differently. This one, when I go back into it, I'm going to hit it at the right time, and then every cue after that's already got timed out follows, and it's going to play straight through the rest of the song to those proper timings. So it's really nice. You'll also see in the lower right-hand corner where we've got the lyrics. When we come back in, it triggers lyrics. So we've got lyrics triggered, and the sequence for the lights gets triggers, and it's basically automatic all the way through the rest of the end of the song. Other thing to note, on the stream deck right below my hands there is where I can control things like advancing, speeding up, or slowing down the lyrics. And so when I come back in, I'm pretty sure what I end up doing is advancing the lyrics just a couple hundred milliseconds. Okay, and go. So, hard to see on the multi-view, but Jake goes up to his microphone and says into it, hey, he counts in. And then I take the cue on the count, and the lyrics run from there. And really, I'm just jamming along out here. Commonly do worship and mess around while I'm just waiting and for the next cue. Always paying attention to what's going on stage, making sure the lights are advancing to the timings that I've planned out and my intention. I just don't leave it to chance that all technology works. I'm always making sure the dynamics are following what we intend to for the song. And here we're coming up on the end of the song. And I'm sitting there ready to hit the go button if we need to. And I take the last cue. I typically do that. I'll take the last cue of each song. We just don't know how long they're going to hold out, if they're going to tag it at the end. So I always wait to make sure that we've actually landed the plane. Next song already starts off. Timecode drives most of it. And so timecode starts this song off, and that way we know lyrics, because lyrics are automated. Everything's ready to go out of the gate. And so this one, we went through a couple versions of it. Again, we do things very much planned out. And so the only thing that changed on this one actually was we removed a section of the lyrics. So in the original arrangement, it's got a double bridge. And in the first bridge, we just make that an extended instrumental. And then we come back into the second bridge, but only singing it for the first time. Consistent with the guide and our reference tracks. So doesn't require anything manual or anything triggered by lighting at all. What I am doing is I am keeping an eye on lyrics, making sure that the lyrics are advancing at a rate that matches what the singers are doing and enough for the vocalists, or not the vocalists, but the congregation to sing along. I want to make sure there's enough up there soon enough so they can sing if they don't have the song memorized. I'm also monitoring the haze in the room, making sure that in the room and online it's looking like what we want. And just for anybody watching that's curious about the camera setup here, I'll walk through our camera positions that might be obvious by what you can see. Camera 1 is at the front of house tech booth, up high, centered, but it's at the ground level. The camera 2 is in the back house left, also an operator position on tripod. Camera 3 is stage right handheld camera. Stage 4 is a stage left handheld camera, and the person operating this during this service is actually our main video producer. He's running camera today while we've got one of our other producers handling things in the back. Camera 5 is a handheld camera at the front edge of the stage on the floor, and 6 and 7 are PTZs, remotely operated. They can be run from the control room. They also can be run from front of house, depending on who we have running them that time. And then for anybody interested, we do produce for online or in the room primarily, and then for online. So sometimes not during the worship block, but outside of the worship block, sometimes we'll cut things out for online slightly different than what we're doing in the room. But it's all done by one Ross Vision switcher. We don't have two TDs operating with just one person doing both.
Let's sing it. All my life. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing.
We have been experimenting with the way we handle front lights. When it comes to it, we obviously want to make sure the in-room experience is right, but when it comes to front light, we're only concerned about the lead singer on camera one. And we've varied our front light or our f-stop that we're looking for. Used to be 3.9, now we're pushing about 4.7. But we're still experimenting with how bright our front light is. We do like running it hotter, which means the cameras need to iris down a bit more. Has a side effect on things like depth of field compression and stuff like that. But we're just trying different things recently with front light to see how we like it. But honestly, I'd like it a lot hotter, but we're already making strides to bring it up. End of the song. And then we manually take this. This goes into a transition element we called Book of Prayer. And so just like any other transition element, we manually take it in and out because we just don't know how long it's going to take and just what the feel of the room is, whether we'll tag a song or extend something out or sometimes just quickly jump from piece to piece. What I really like about the ETC console is it allows us to do that pretty easily. Right here, what you see me doing is I'm making a slight change to front light in blind. Clearly in the moment I didn't like something I saw, so I went into blind, advanced forward, made sure front light is what I want it to be going in and out of elements. Love that I can go into blind, make changes that you can't see in the room, but I can see on the screen and confidently make changes as we're about to go into another element. So always looking for that to make sure that the band is lit the way I want them to, that in the room, especially our focus is where the focus needs to be, that people's lights are drawn based off of what the lights are doing. So we'll make some judgment guesses during programming. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong, and sometimes in the middle of a service I'll go in and make some last minute changes to say, oh, you know, it would be better if I did this. And so that was an example of me going into blind making that change.
And so whether or not your name is in this book, or maybe you didn't get a chance to submit your prayer request, let's just offer these things up to the Lord. Let's trust Him together. Let's pray. Lord, thanks that you, man, you know our hearts. You know exactly the situation that we find ourselves in.
So one of the things that is there is often, as we go into Book of Prayer, I'll usually pull out all the haze. That way there's not too much in the room as we're going into the teaching or talking parts. But it felt like it was too low for me, so I'm bringing these back in, especially the Radiance, which is the one I'm sneaking up right now. It has a louder fan noise. The atmosphere is basically silent. So here I can bring up the atmosphere really quickly, but I'll sneak up the Radiance so that that fan noise isn't really abruptly sounding. So I brought they came out. I'm bringing them back in because I still want more in the room than what I'm seeing at the moment. And I'm standing by on go for him to be done. Okay. And take it. And then if I remember right, this is a couple weeks after the fact. I think on this one we end up manually running. We stop lyrics at some point, then we manually run it, but I'm not 100% sure how we landed on this one. I think it originally was going to have a lot of free flow elements. So if you look at that OSC column, the far right column there's lots of comments there. And really, we are, instead of having some very planned out LED wall content that runs the length of the song, in order to accommodate a free flow worship, we actually have 3 different loops that we can crossfade between. And they're just basically different levels of intensity and activity. And so in each part of the song, as we go from verse to chorus to bridge to high bridge to low chorus, whatever, we're actually triggering different content to play out to Resolume to change the brightness and dynamics of what's happening on the LED wall. And so that gives us the freedom that we need to kind of follow along without having to always perform it exactly the same way, but while still allowing us to have dynamic content both in lighting and on the LED wall. Back in the blind, looking ahead. Something with front lights. Looks like it's got my eye. Label. Looks like I'm labeling. Never can have good enough or accurate enough notes. Can't see what I wrote there, but I put some sort of note for that cue. I think it's probably just calling out manual lyrics. And from what I can tell, it's all manual. So there's no time code and there's no follows. So that means I'm going to have to take each lighting cue one at a time. And just like I encourage all my operators, it's finding a place where you can worship through the arts and through technology. But sometimes it's just actually worshiping while you're doing tech. And always having one eye open to make sure everything's going well. But there's absolutely nothing wrong, and encouraged to find a way to worship while doing tech. So there I'm sneaking up the crowd blinders there on the fader wing there on my far left, or on my left, the far right fader there, so fader 10. I'm just sneaking up the blinders. And we're coming up on the part where our last timecode cue here is coming up here. And then same thing, just like our hazers, our blinders I think are capped at 30%. So when the fader's all the way up, we're pushing 30%. So as you can see there on camera 6, it's not like the blinders are completely like blowing everything out. And there's my hand standing ready for manual lyrics. And my hand ready to take the cue. And if I recall correctly, this cue is on a breakdown. And so the top button on that fader will, when I hit that, it'll slowly fade out the blinders over a 5-second fade. So I'll hit that, hit the go button, and then do manual lyrics from there. And then following the notes that I have in that cue is when I'll take each lighting cue and break down, hit the go button, hit the button for the blinders to come down, which you see there, and then hit manual lyrics and take the next lighting cue for the verse. And I have to advance each screen or each page of lyric there, but it's on a stream deck, so it's literally just one button. Really nice. and take lighting and take lyrics, bring the blinders back up, and I'll probably bring the haze out here pretty quickly too. And
Amen. Well, thanks so much, guys, for singing with us, worshiping together. You can have a seat.
there we go. And so with that, that's the end of the recording that I had over my shoulder while operating. You can see here as we're getting ready for baby dedications. And outside of this, the rest of the service, pretty straightforward. Handful of cues that we take from baby dedications to offering to video announcements to sermon bumper to bumper and to service or to the sermon. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of ride along during the worship set of a more free flow service. To show you what I'm doing when I'm behind the scenes. Usually it's a lot of subtle changes. Some of them, if none of them were done, would be fine. But it also included things such as stopping and restarting lyrics, timing. It included things like manually running lyrics. But I'm going to say 80% of the time, everything runs like that first song. So it's completely time coded, and I'm literally only taking the out cue and then any transition elements like into a welcome and out of a welcome, into our book of prayer, out of our book of prayer. And that's about it. So I hope this was helpful for you and showed you a little bit about behind the scenes on how we do things here. All right. Have a blessed day, everybody.